Renaissance Italy was born out of bloodshed and fire. It was an age of treachery and deceit, where men and women struggled for power at any cost. The Sforza in Milan, the Medici in Florence, and perhaps most notorious of all, the Borgias in Rome. The name Borgia is still synonymous with terror and debauchery. Their corruption spread from the Vatican, which had become a brothel for every kind of depravity, and infected all the papal states. At the beginning of the 15th century, this territory covered the whole of central Italy. A contemporary observer described the ruin that had overtaken the lands of the church.
The dead of night covered all things. Never were sedition and bloodshed more widespread. Never more wickedness in the city. Never more informers and assassins. Men were safe neither in their rooms, their houses, nor their castles. The laws of God and man were as nothing. Gold, violence, and lust ruled undisputed.
And at the epicenter of this maelstrom of corruption was Alexander VI, the Borgia Pope. His family held every important church post. No opposition was tolerated. The few who did raise their voices were found dead in the Tiber, with weights tied to their necks, or they were forced to flee abroad. Though even in exile, no one was safe. It was said that the Borgias had denti lunghi, long teeth, and could reach their enemies no matter where they had hidden. It was the model for the mafia on the grandest scale. The two most infamous children of the Pope were Cesare and Lucrezia. Both were legends in their own lifetime for depravity and violence. Cesare was a professional assassin, and amongst countless murders was rumoured to have killed his own brother Juan. Machiavelli, the Florentine writer, suggested that his motive was incest. He killed his brother through envy and jealousy over the Madonna Lucrezia. Lucrezia herself was supposed to have had incestuous relationships with both her brothers and with the Pope himself. And not to be outdone by her brother Cesare, she succeeded in poisoning 3 husbands.
All lies.
I beg your pardon.
Lucrezia was the gentlest woman alive.
But history claims that she was a notorious poisoner and had incestuous relations with the Pope.
Her father, His Holiness, loves Lucrezia, but not in the way you're suggesting. That's nothing but lies. Lies put about by her enemies.
I'm sorry, but you can't just make a statement like that. I have it on good authority that there was a great deal of truth in the allegations against Lucrezia, and that she was a typical example of the Borgia brood.
Who's your good authority?
Signor Machiavelli.
Ha! That Florentine bastard.
And I suppose you have access to more accurate information?
I do. I was a servant of the Borgias for many years. Michelotto's the name.
Very well, Michelotto. Perhaps you would like to present your evidence. Perhaps if we take one allegation at a time. Lucrezia was accused of poisoning her 3 husbands. Shall we deal with the first?
By all means, senor. She didn't kill her husbands. The first left Lucrezia of his own accord. The second was killed by her brother, Cesare, and the third outlived her. The first was that melancholy, spineless Giovanni Sforza. The Madonna Lucrezia didn't clap eyes on this man till the day of her wedding. They just used her like some bleeding counter in a game of chess. Every move brought them closer to taking the whole of Italy. Now, sometimes they made a mistake. Take Giovanni. Oh, he was a mistake.
Holy Father, Giovanni Sforza is an imbecile. He is not good enough for Lucrezia or for the family. She needs to remarry. She must divorce him.
Impossible, my son. Even I could not bend the church to that. Besides, it would reflect badly on Lucrezia.
Then he must be killed. Widows are respectable. We must kill him. Lucrezia needs a better match.
Indeed, Cesare. I think I will decide what Lucrezia needs. Besides, Giovanni is still useful. If he can be made to live with us here in Rome, all may yet be well. Ah, Lucrezia, my dearest child. We were just talking about that husband of yours. Why does he persist in displeasing us? We love him as dearly as we love Cesare. Why doesn't he come back to Rome? You must miss him.
I do, Father, but he wishes to be lord in his own city.
Lucrezia, I wish him by my side. He is misguided. Prevail on him to return.
Yes, Father.
Giovanni wasn't such a fool that he'd return willingly to Rome. He asked protection from the Duke of Milan. Now, this meant that the Pope couldn't do away with Giovanni just like that. So he had to find other ways of dealing with him.
I am told that the best and least troublesome way to get rid of our friend is to get his marriage to our beloved daughter annulled on the grounds that it was never consummated. The marriage was and is without nuptial intercourse and carnal knowledge. Giovanni must declare that he is and always has been impotent.
I wonder how he'll take to that confession, Your Holiness.
Never. I will never admit such a thing. It is a lie. A lie! I have 1,000 times, no, more, 10,000 times I have made love to my wife and to others. Oh, yes, others. I will not sign this. I will not shame myself before the whole of Italy. I would rather lose my estate, my life itself, rather than my honor. If the Pope wishes, I am willing to demonstrate my virility before any witnesses. Let him send his cardinals. I will show him what I can do. If this is refused, it is proof of the Pope's obscene desires. Oh, yes, I know why the Pope wants me out of the way. It's as clear as day. He wants his daughter for himself. Why, I'm sure he's known the whore on countless occasions. Yes, that's it. I will publish this throughout Italy. Those Borgia swine think they have the upper hand. Well, we shall see.
So you're suggesting that the stories about Lucrezia's incest were actually put about by Giovanni Sforza as a kind of revenge?
I am.
But what happened to Giovanni Sforza? His claims clearly survived, but did he?
Oh, yeah. But he was a minnow. Cesare and the Pope had bigger fish to catch. They simply put the squeeze on Giovanni's protector, the Duke of Milan. And Giovanni signed the document on November 18th, 1497, admitting impotence.
Giovanni Sforza, you have, of your own free will, come before this holy tribunal to sign this document admitting your impotence and forswearing forever any claim to the hand and fortunes of the Madonna Lucrezia Borgia. You will sign here.
I will sign, Cesare, but it is an injustice. If His Holiness wishes to establish his own kind of justice, I cannot gainsay him. Let him do what he wishes, for God is higher.
Indeed, Giovanni, indeed, we are all agreed on that. Oh, would you mind signing just a few more copies for the record, you understand?
The harder job was convincing Lucrezia that she had to break her marriage vows.
Lucrezia, my child, you are to remarry.
But I'm already married, Father.
No, my child, you were married. Now I say you are not. Your former husband has shown himself to be worthless. He has admitted he cannot give you children, so the marriage was never blessed by God.
But Father, Giovanni was a man
I do not wish to hear his name again. The marriage, my child, was a sin. It was a sin because there could be no children. And what is marriage for if not to bring forth children? So we must find you a new husband. There is just one thing that we have to establish. I see no difficulty, but it is a necessary formality. We need to remind the world that you are Virgo Intacta.
Father!
You will be attended shortly by my physician.
Father, please, I do not wish
It
to
is
be...
a formality, and his verdict is a foregone conclusion. You need fear nothing. Now, we must find you a new husband.
Did Lucrezia submit to her father's will?
She had no choice. She was treated as part of the papal baggage train. Eligible bachelors from all over Europe begged to be considered. Flies on a pot of honey. Lucrezia could not bear to stay in Rome while this auction was on, and so she took refuge in the convent of San Sisto.
I believe, however, that before a new husband could be found for Lucrezia, she became pregnant. She bore the so-called infant of Rome.
Yeah, well, there were rumours, but no one knew for certain.
Yes, but it does point up a different aspect to the squeaky clean image you're trying to paint of Lucrezia.
I've never claimed that the Madonna Lucrezia was a saint. And since when is giving birth to a child a crime? She may have had a love affair with a man, and she may have given birth to his child.
Yes, there is evidence to suggest that the father of her child was a Perotto Calderon, a handsome Spaniard who worked as one of Lucrezia's chamberlains. Apparently, he was madly in love with her.
Oh, Lucrezia. Lucrezia.
You must go. If we are caught, you will be killed.
No, my love, no. I'm simply paying my respects, sorting out arrangements for your new dress. The door is locked, and your maids keep watch, so there's nothing to fear. And besides, no one knows that I'm the father of our child. That can remain an eternal secret between us two.
Perhaps. But you must go.
When can I see you again?
I don't know. It isn't wise. You are in danger in Rome.
Oh, Lucrezia, there's nothing to fear.
Madam!
Yes, one moment.
Madam, His Holiness is calling for Signor Perotto.
One moment. You must go.
Yes, I will go. I must pay my respects to His Holiness before I go. No doubt he...
Hurry.
Ah, Signor Perotto, you are very elusive. I understand you're leaving Rome.
Yes, Your Holiness. I have some business to attend to in Spain.
Of course. We must not detain you. Have you enjoyed your stay in the Eternal City?
I have, Your Holiness.
Excellent. I know you will take away some treasured memories, and we are pleased that you have left us something to remind us of you.
Your Holiness?
Oh, come now. Such generosity should not go unremarked. Cesare here has told me all about it.
I don't know what to say.
Surely, Master Perotto, you recall. You have left us a picture.
I'm at a loss to know.
Oh, such modesty. Modest to the last. Well, perhaps I need to speak a little more plainly. I believe you are acquainted with my daughter, the Madonna Lucrezia.
Yes, Your Holiness, I have that honor.
Am I also correct in thinking that your knowledge of her extends to her body?
I don't know what you mean, Your Holiness. I would never presume...
It would seem that you already have presumed, Senor, and now you must pay the price. Cesare?
No. I beg you. I never touched...
Alexander was clearly intent on preserving Lucrezia as a prize catch in the marriage market. Were you present when Perotto was killed?
No. I was attending other business.
Who did Alexander eventually choose as Lucrezia's husband?
Well, it weren't easy. The lies were believed. When the Prince of Salerno was approached with an item matching his son with Lucrezia, he said, "Do you think I would receive into my family a woman who, as everyone knows, has slept with both her brothers?"
So the mud was sticking.
Yeah, but that didn't bother Pope Alexander. You see, he knew that money could smooth the bumps in the road. And eventually he got the bastard son of the King of Aragon, Alfonso de Bichelieu. It was a most magnificent wedding. When the young man arrived from Naples, he was applauded as the handsomest man ever seen in the imperial city. I remember him as he took Lucrezia's hand in his. She looked so happy. Her golden hair streaming like fire in the sunlight, and her blue eyes. She was the most beautiful woman I ever saw.
How romantic. But I understand such a blissful glow did not last very long. I believe Alfonso received an anonymous note soon after the marriage.
Excellency, I found this note thrown in at the window. It's probably a jest, but I thought I should...
Thank you. You may go. The other husbands are not dead, Alfonso. They live. 2 are cheated of their hopes, and your punishment awaits you. It will not help you that you are drawn from royal stock. Your rights, too, will be trampled on.
Obviously someone was trying to put Alfonso off the marriage. Who could have sent such a warning?
No one knows.
Is it not possible for the note was written by Cesare because he was desperate to prevent a good marriage. It was clear that Lucrezia was very much in love, and Cesare could still have had incestuous designs on her.
You're still raking in the filth for some scrap. If Cesare wanted to get rid of Alfonso, it was because he was from Naples, and Cesare had just formed an alliance with the French to destroy Naples.
Well, perhaps this is something we can return to. Can we now look at Lucrezia's marriage? They were very happy. Were there any children?
Yeah, in January of 1499 she found she was pregnant. Oh, you should have seen the celebrations. The Pope almost danced in the Trevi fountain. Later that year, she was with her husband in the garden of one of the cardinals. It was a hot day, and they were sitting in the shade of a great fig tree, laughing, all sleeping.
Alfonso, stop reading. You do nothing but read these days. Down with that book.
Oh, Lucrezia, I was just getting to the best bits.
Let's have a race. Come on, everyone. Who'll take a wager that I can beat Alfonso?
Madonna, I'll wager 1,000 ducats that you'll lose.
And you, Signor, are lucky that my father is not here to hear you. Otherwise, you'd lose more than money. Come on, Alfonso, ready?
No. Lucrezia, I shall read my book. If, my dove, you must race, then race with one of your servants. I must save my strength.
Alfonso. Very well. You? Yes, you, come here. I want a race. I will race you to the fountain and back, and if you win, you shall have 100 ducats.
Lucrezia, 100?
200. Ready? Go.
My lord, the Madonna Lucrezia has the wings of Mercury. Look at her, she's already... Oh, my God, she's fallen.
Lucrezia! The child!
She lost the child. The Pope was beside himself. He'd lost an heir. Soon afterwards, Lucrezia's husband ran away from Rome. He was afraid, you see. He thought that Cesare's alliance with the French meant that he was for the chop.
I don't follow you.
Alfonso was the heir to the throne of Naples, and the French wanted Naples for themselves. Alfonso escaped to his castle at Genazzano. The Pope was furious. I saw him tear his hair. His face went as red as a beetroot, and all the veins stood out on his neck like a bull. Oh, what a sight, eh? What a sight.
Where is he? Why can I trust no one? Cesare! Cesare!
Father?
I want Alfonso here. Here, do you understand? Why has he gone? Why won't any of Lucrezia's husbands stay in Rome?
He is plotting to take Lucrezia away from Rome.
What?
I have a letter. We took it from a messenger before it could be delivered to Lucrezia. He wants her to join him in Genazzano.
This is outrageous! How dare he? She's my only, my precious, the finest jewel in Rome. Find him and bring him here. I just want him to come back to the family. I will not have my sons leaving Rome without my permission. It shows lack of respect. I will not have it!
Cesare was desperate to plant unease in his father's mind, and that seed was to bear some bitter fruit. The Pope's soldiers couldn't find Alfonso, and the Madonna Lucrezia, well, she became more and more sad and melancholy.
Oh, come now. Dry those eyes. They were not meant for tears. Come here. Let me wipe away the sea salt.
When will Alfonso return? I love him. I love him.
When he hears what distress he is causing you...
He will wish he was dead.
Ah, Cesare, I didn't hear you come in. Look what a Madonna of all the sorrows we have here, and all because Alfonso is too frightened to return to Rome. What has he got to fear? Am I not his loving father?
You are indeed, and I fear he is ungrateful and shows little respect in remaining absent so long.
He is not disrespectful.
Oh, Lucrezia, your love blinds you to the truth. I wonder if he is worthy of you.
He is my husband.
Quite so, and he will return. I will write to him again.
Did Alfonso ever return to Lucrezia?
Oh, yes. The Pope's smooth words brought him in. Lucrezia had been sent off to govern Spoleto as a way of taking her mind off things, and he joined her there. She had another child in October, and things seemed to be going well. Then, in July 1500, the Borgias met together in Rome for a dinner. Lucrezia, Cesare, Alfonso, and His Holiness the Pope. It was a warm night, and they'd all had a lot to drink.
More wine. Oh,
That's it.
oh, I'm so proud of my family. You make an old man so happy. With you, I can cast off the cares of the pontificate for a few hours and watch my children enjoy themselves. But there comes a point when I must retire, and that time is now. But please, you young people, continue. Oh, enjoy your youth.
Oh, Father! Stop playing the old man. You're as strong as a bull.
Oh, once, my sweet, once. There was a time. But now I must leave the real work to Cesare. Not forgetting young Alfonso here. You'll be a Borgia yet. Now, my children, I must go. My gout is beginning to remember me. Oh, good night, my sweetest Lucrezia. Good night, one and all.
I must go to bed too, Lucrezia.
Oh, you sluggard. All you do these days is sleep.
Oh, well, and who tires me with all her toils of love?
Alfonso, we are in company.
We are all friends here, Lucrezia. I'll have no false maiden blushes here.
Oh, Cesare, what slander. Am I still not a maid?
I must go, Lucrezia. I'm supposed to go hunting with your brother tomorrow, and we must be up before the lark. And I don't want to give Cesare the opportunity to jibe at me for oversleeping.
Alfonso, don't go hunting. Stay with me. And we can go to sleep later. Every time I have you with me, you slip away. This time I've caught you, and my hook is made of silver and baited with honey. So stay. For me.
Oh, Lucrezia, we shall never be parted again. I have no intention of leaving you or Rome. Your father has shown himself to be both honourable and kind. Even your brother seems to like my company these days. So you have nothing to fear. This fish is caught. But I will go hunting. I want the bond with Cesare to grow, so I cannot break my promise. And besides, my servant has spent all day polishing my riding boots till the sun blazes in the toe and shimmers on the heel. I would not have so much good work wasted. And so, good night, my sweetest Lucrezia.
Alfonso left and walked back alone across the Piazza San Pietro. It was very late, and no one could be seen. He passed through the white colonnade. The piazza was lit only by the light of the moon.
Alfonso?
Yes?
Help me!
God! God! In the name of the Pope, let us in! Open the doors!
Alfonso had been attacked. His skull had been split, and he'd been badly stabbed all over his body. His servants had been following at a distance, and had managed to drag him to the doors of San Pietro.
Alfonso!
Madam! Hold her!
Leave me! Don't touch me! Alfonso, what has happened? Alfonso!
Madam, he will not die, but he has lost a lot of blood. You must leave him to rest.
Who has done this?
Lucrezia! Lucrezia!
Father!
Your Holiness, the Lord Alfonso has been attacked.
Damnation, I've got eyes. Whoever hath done this will be found, and they will be punished. Search Rome, every street, every house. I want them found.
Michelotto, perhaps you can enlighten us on who tried to kill Alfonso.
Well,
Isn't it patently obvious?
Who are you?
My name is Niccolo Machiavelli. I think I may shed further light on these events. My testimony may be of value. At least you won't have to hear Lucrezia's story coated with sugar.
I have added nothing to the Madonna Lucrezia's story.
Perhaps not. But you have omitted some rather important facts which have a bearing on this case.
What facts?
Oh, I think they will emerge soon enough.
You know who was responsible for Alfonso's death?
Oh, the culprit should surely be obvious. Everyone knew who had paid for the assassination, but no one dared utter the name.
I will not say, but there can be only one murderer.
Whoever may have done it, no one will say. But there is no investigation. Whoever may have done it, no one will say.
Whose hand is behind the assassins is still unknown. It is grave and perilous to enter it in a letter. It is grave.
I will not say, but there can be only one. I will not say.
Whoever may have done it, no one will say. But there is no investigation. No one will say.
Whose hand is behind the assassins is still unknown.
Whoever may have done it,
It is grave and perilous to enter it in a letter.
investigation.
I will not say, but there can be only one. I will not say.
Whoever may have done it, no one will say. But there is no investigation. No one will say. There is no
The assassins is still unknown.
Whoever may have done
It
it,
is grave
no
and
one will say.
perilous to
But there is
enter
no
a letter.
investigation.
Grave and perilous.
What is not done at lunch can be done at dinner.
It is grave and perilous to enter.
I did not wound the Duke, but if I had, it would have been no more than he deserved.
The next page in this particular chapter will give us answers. Lucrezia held something of a vigil over Alfonso. On the day that the Neapolitan ambassador came to see Alfonso, she was at his bedside.
King Federigo has asked me to pass on his personal good wishes for a speedy recovery.
Tell the king that we are pleased to accept his good wishes, and that Alfonso will soon be well enough to thank him in person.
Are you the envoy from Naples?
I am.
I arrest you in the name of His Holiness the Pope.
On what charges?
I only have the order to arrest you. No doubt you'll find out the charges soon enough. Take him!
How dare you! Get your hands off me!
Stop! I command you! This is insufferable. My husband is lying here, sick and in pain, and you come charging in here to arrest an innocent man?
I obey the will of others, madam, and I am sorry if it has caused you any distress. No doubt if you went to His Holiness, you would obtain an explanation.
An explanation? I shall see to it that you are punished. You dare to come in here, mouthing excuses for an outrage, and tell me to ask my father for an explanation.
I am only a servant, madam.
Oh, yes. I'm sure my father will provide an explanation. What's your name, sir?
Michelotto, my lady.
Well, Michelotto, if I find that my father knows nothing of this, I will see you flogged.
You have caused distress, sir. What is the meaning of this intrusion?
Well, sir, to tell the truth, it has more to do with you than the Neapolitan ambassador. You see, sir, you must die. I have my orders signed and sealed, and there it is.
What are you saying?
I haven't time to explain, sir. You must die.
So you were the murderer all the time, and you have been sitting here, telling us your story, and you have lied about your role throughout.
Not lied, sir. I've told the truth about the Madonna Lucrezia.
But you were Cesare Borgia's instrument. You killed Lucrezia's husband in cold blood.
I'll make no excuses, sir. I did the work and was well paid. My kind were 10 a penny on the streets of Rome, living in filth with no food in my belly. Cesare raised me and made me his own. He was my lord, and I served him. I can say no more.
You were simply obeying orders.
Exactly. Michelotto and thousands like him. But you see, once he had pledged himself to the devil, to Cesare Borgia, he could not leave the mouse wheel. You were either the hunter or the prey. There was no middle way.
So, Michelotto, you destroyed the one person that Lucrezia loved. You have shown considerable respect and affection for the lady. Didn't you think of her?
I did think of her every waking moment. But my lord had good reasons. Alfonso was a traitor.
What happened after Alfonso was found?
The Vatican became an armed camp. Soldiers with drawn swords stood at every gate. Michelotto was brought before the Pope.
Tell me, Michelotto, what happened? How did the Lord Alfonso die?
Holy Father, this man is my servant. I have already questioned him, and he tells me...
No, Cesare. I wish to hear it from his own lips.
Holy Father, I was sent to arrest the ambassador from Naples.
Who gave you these orders?
Why, Holy Father, I was told it was your order.
I gave no such order.
Father, I have information that clearly indicates that this ambassador was plotting against the papacy. I cannot say more in this place.
Very well, Cesare. Continue your story, Michelotto.
Well, when I arrested the ambassador, the Lord Alfonso became very agitated. He grew red in the face and he tried to get out of bed. I went to assist him, but he fell. I tried to help him back into his bed, but I found he was dead. Holy Father, I beg you, this was not my doing. I was only doing my duty.
And this was believed?
Oh, yes. At least the Pope made a show of believing Michelotto's story. You see, Cesare had made it very clear that Alfonso was actively plotting against the Borgias. He was believed.
So Cesare had ordered the death of Alfonso?
Exactly. It was a necessary move to ensure that his father remained faithful to the French. Cesare imagined that Alfonso might be able to encourage the Pope to ally with Naples, and for Cesare that would have been a disaster.
Did Cesare get away with it?
Not quite. The explanations became ever more ridiculous. When it became clear that the story of Alfonso's falling out of bed simply wouldn't wash, Cesare put it about that Alfonso had seen him in the garden and struggled from his sickbed and attempted to shoot him with a crossbow. The shot had missed, but Cesare was of course honour-bound to pursue his revenge.
I don't believe this.
This would lend a certain legitimacy to Alfonso's death, as it would seem to be part of a vendetta.
And what about Lucrezia?
Oh, well, she never fully recovered. She went into deep mourning. She wore black 24 hours a day and signed herself La Infelicissima, the most unhappy one. A little melodramatic, if you ask me.
Madam, your brother wishes to see
I will not speak with him.
Madam...
I will not see him. Now leave me. Leave me to my grief and to my hatred. The light is gone, put out, and I am alone, cursed by God for the name of Borgia.
Machiavelli, did she avenge herself on Cesare?
No, not exactly. Lucrezia did not have a direct hand in his death. God had reserved judgment on Cesare, but he did not escape punishment.
So overall, it would be fair to say that Lucrezia Borgia was more sinned against than sinning.
Yes, that's the truth of the matter. That whatever my sins was what I came here to say. She was unblemished.
What right do you have to defend Lucrezia's honour? You're nothing but a common murderer.
But, Signor Machiavelli, murder is murder, whether committed by the great or the humble. You can't condemn Michelotto without condemning Cesare Borgia.
Cesare murdered for the good of the state. He needed to consolidate his position.
Is it true that you regarded Cesare as some kind of hero?
Hero? Of course. He was the paragon of princes. He could have become king of Italy. He was truly splendid. There was never a general like him. Popular with his troops, formidable and victorious. I regard him as unsurpassed.
But what about the means he used to come to power?
Irrelevant.
Because, Signor Crook, he used power well. He was the finest governor the papal state of the Romagna ever had.
I think history will judge him differently. He was corrupt, and to coin a phrase, power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. We may have the opportunity to deal with Cesare at some future date. Thank you both for your time, gentlemen. The Borgias remain a monument to excess, hated in their own time, and the object of fascinating revulsion today, an eternal warning against the abuse of power. Only Lucrezia, it seems, stands apart from the brutality of her relations, and perhaps in some small way redeems the horror that is the Borgia legacy. It is often said that to achieve and hold power, an individual must be ruthless and single-minded. Some would say that if such power is exercised for the good of the people, it does not matter how it is achieved. All too often, the exercise of such absolute power leads to corruption. Our own century is not short of examples. Hitler, Mussolini, and Stalin are but three particularly notable monsters. Perhaps Mussolini had the most finely developed sense of history, choosing to model himself on the emperors of Rome, harking back to the golden age of Italian imperialism. He need not have gone back so far. The Renaissance offers comparable sources of inspiration for the would-be tyrant. Cesare Borgia is one name that still stands alone above all others. We have already told Lucrezia Borgia's story. Now we turn to Cesare. What were the roots of his megalomania? What drove him to murder on such a massive scale? We left the world of the Borgias just as Cesare had arranged the murder of his sister's husband. Lucrezia Borgia went into mourning. Cesare had completely succeeded in convincing their father that Lucrezia's husband Alfonso was a traitor. In the end, Pope Alexander VI could tolerate her grief no longer and exiled her to the castle of Nepi, a lonely and forbidding tower high in the mountains of Umbria. Her mother, Venozza, was convinced of Cesare's innocence.
My son was the glory of Rome. He could have been king of Italy. Our history has been sown with lies. Lies that have grown into a forest so great that the truth cannot be discerned. People said that my Cesare killed his brother. They said that Cesare killed his sister's husband. How could this be? Cesare loved Lucrezia more than life itself. He would have done nothing to hurt her. It is well known that Cesare, even as he went to war, came to offer comfort to her.
Madam, the Lord Cesare is here. He wishes to speak with you. Madam, your brother is here. He's come from Rome.
Lucrezia. Oh, Lucrezia. They dared to keep me waiting at the door like some common beggar. But no door can keep me from my only sister. My sister. Oh, Lucrezia, you've grown so thin. They're not feeding you here. I shall have to do something about that. I shall send you my best
I will
chef
not starve, Cesare. Why have you come here?
Why? Why? To see how you are, my dearest sister.
The Pope is still displeased with me for shedding too many tears.
No, of course not. It is all forgotten. Soon you will be called back to Rome. It is all in the past.
The past? My life is past. It was taken away when Alfonso died, when he was killed.
Oh, Lucrezia, you mustn't talk like that. This grief cannot last forever.
It could rest if I knew who it was who killed my husband.
That may never come to light. Now come here, Lucrezia. If anyone can offer comfort, it is your brother. Come.
No! Who killed Alfonso? You know everything that happens in Rome. Who did it?
Lucrezia, don't push me aside. I love you. We have shared everything.
Did you kill Alfonso?
I am your brother.
Oh, yes, Cesare. And you were a brother to our brother Juan. How did he die?
Lucrezia.
Did you kill him as well?
You have changed. These words, these accusations, they come out of your loneliness and your grief. Abandon it, Lucrezia.
Tell me the truth.
You would not understand the truth. My sweet sister, renounce your grief. His Holiness has asked me to tell you that such extremity verges on despair, and you must know despair is a sin. Trust me. I only want...
Stay where you are. I would sooner trust the devil.
Very well. I fear you must stay here, on this rock, within these walls, until the poison of your grief has worked its way and you are again yourself. I shall tell our father that there is no change in you. It will grieve him. Will you kiss me once before I go? I go to fight wars for His Holiness.
Cesare, you are damned.
Well, then so is the Pope, and so are we all. My dear sister, when I return, I expect to find you in a better mood.
Did you kill your brother? What about Alfonso? We are all lost. Alfonso died for me. If he hadn't married me, then he would still be alive. I might have seen him riding by my window. He might have loved me. Just as the poets say. He might have lived. These useless tears have washed away the blindness. And now I can see everything. It is my brother, Cesare. Who else could want Alfonso dead? And who else could want Juan Borgia dead? The only man who stood between Cesare and the Pope's preferment was his own brother. Gentle Juan. He was the Pope's favourite. And his shadow blotted Cesare and dwarfed his great ambitions.
My daughter was in great torment, her mind twisted by grief. Such thoughts, such accusations are natural at such a time, but they are not to be believed. She did see one truth. It was true that in the early days Alexander favoured Juan Borgia above us all. My Cesare bore all this with the patience of a saint. I remember the pain.
Father, I fear I must take my leave. The hour is
Oh,
late.
what, Cesare?
Wine!
Look what you've done now. All that wine gone to waste. Forgotten where your mouth is.
Holy Father.
Oh, what is it?
Holy Father, I fear that I must go.
Oh, very well.
Oh, Father, look, I shall drain this glass in one draught and then...
Look, Cesare, your brother could drink you under the table. 1, 2, 3, 4.
So, Cesare, now it's your turn.
I have to go.
Oh, come on, what's wrong with you? This is a private party. It's your mother's party. You'll not dishonour her by refusing the game.
Cesare, you need not drink if you would prefer not to. This is just another of your father's little games.
Oh, rubbish. Now, stand on the table and drink.
Alexander, you do wrong to force the boy to drink. He does not want to make an exhibition of himself.
Oh, I see. And Juan is making an exhibition of himself.
Yes, he is.
Oh, you have no sense of fun, my dearest Venozza. Now let me make one thing very clear. I will not have any son of mine leaving a party before I give him leave. Now, Cesare, drink!
Oh, Father, what does it matter? Let Cesare go. I'll ring it up for both of us.
Lucrezia, I think we should leave. It's getting late.
Why? You always spoil things for me. You leave if you must.
There, you see, Lucrezia agrees with me.
I must have a quiet word. A word. I must go now.
Why is that, my son?
I have some pleasure to attend to. You see that man? Over there, under the vine trellis? No, Father, further to the left. That's it. He's arranged some pleasure for me with a certain lady. And so I must go.
Oh, of course, you must, of course. And with my blessing. You know, if I was a little younger, I'd have been there with you.
This coarse, ill-bred show was mercifully in private. I could not bear to see Cesare so hurt, so humiliated. Not even Lucrezia said a word. Juan staggered away into the night, crawled onto his horse, and clattered away, followed only by a single groom. The sun rose, and he was nowhere to be seen. His Holiness grew more and more agitated.
You'll be tired, exhausted, all through the night and into the morning. What? Oh, I could have done the same thing at his age. Still do when the mood is right. Perhaps he's waiting until it's night again so that no one sees him leave. Of course, a sensitive boy, a gentleman. He doesn't want to shame the lady. I wonder who it is. Perhaps the Donna Angelica? No, not possible. You there. What's the time?
Nearly 7, Your Holiness.
Yeah, you should be back by now.
Holy Father! Holy Father!
Well, speak, man, what is it?
Holy Father, your son's groom has been found in the Piazza Navona. He has been beaten almost to death.
Where's Juan?
We do not know.
Oh, no!
That night, Rome burned with torches as armed guards searched every house, every street. I saw them from my window, winding their way like fireflies in the night. Alexander sat like stone. His eyes flickered at every sound, but there was no news. No news until the morning.
Your Holiness, we have found a man who knows
Where is Juan?
His Holiness is asking you a question. Well, speak up.
I'm a timber merchant, Your Holiness. My name is Giorgio Schiavi.
I don't care who you are, sir. What can you tell me about my son?
Well, Your Holiness, it's like this, you see. I was unloading my wood near the hospital, the old hospital, Your Holiness, of San Girolamo del Schiavoni, in the middle of the Tiber. It was late at night. I'm in the habit of sleeping with my wood. There are so many thieves about these days, you can't be too careful. Well, about the hour of 2, I heard a noise. I've got very sensitive ears, you see, and so I poked my head over the side of my boat, and on the bank I could see 2 men. Well, they were acting very suspiciously.
How suspiciously?
Well, they looked about to see if anyone was coming, and then they disappeared back into the alley. Next thing, I saw this white horse appear with a tall rider on it, all dressed in black, and slung across the saddle was a body. Well, once they got down to the river bank, they took the body off the horse and threw it in the river. All this time, the horseman didn't move. Then I heard him ask if the body had sunk. The other men replied that it had, and the rider was just about to turn the horse around when one of the men cried out, "The cloak! The cloak!" Well, the cloak hadn't sunk, you see. It was spread out on the water like a great black flag. Well, the horseman, he just moved up to the wall and prized a stone off it and hit the cloak right square in the middle, and it sank. He must have been a strong man as well as a good shot. And then they all disappeared like shadows into the wall. I went back to sleep.
Why did you not report this to the Vatican?
My lord, I've been working the river for 35 years, and I've seen more than 200 bodies dropped in the river. This is the first time I've ever heard anyone make a fuss over it.